Mapping the chart of accounts in the Payroll Centre. To make sure your payroll amounts are captured and reported correctly to the right accounts, we need to check that the setup of chart of accounts are correct. In this section, we look at how to map your payroll accounts in QuickBooks Online Payroll. When Carol enabled the payroll for Zippy Electrical and Data Services, a default chart of accounts was set up and relevant accounts established in the General Ledger. Carol would like to review these settings to ensure their accuracy. In the Payroll settings, go across to Business Settings and then down to Chart of Accounts. As you can see, these are all broken down into default accounts, payroll categories, deduction categories, expense categories, and leave provisions. The default accounts should be mapped to the correct general ledger, and as per default, this is where they've actually been mapped to. So if there is a different account where you would like it to be mapped to, this is where you would actually change it to. So the liability account for payroll is set up to go to a default liability account. Superannuation expense, the super payable goes to super payable. Employee expenses account goes to employee reimbursements. If you need to bring in the other accounts from your chart of accounts in QuickBooks, all you need to do is click Import Accounts, and this will come up with all the accounts that you have when we set up the chart of accounts. Now, the ones in blue are all the accounts that have come across as default. If there's something else that you want to choose, all that you need to do is select, or this one here, we'll choose PAYG Withholdings Payable. It is a liability account, so let's choose PAYG Withholdings Liability, and you can bring in as many other accounts that you need to set up your default accounts in payroll correctly. And let's click Save Accounts List. When we go back to default accounts and the PAYG liability account, we now have the PAYG Withholdings Payable. I'm going to leave it at PAYG Withholdings Payable for this particular moment and click Save. And that's how easy it is to change your default accounts. The pay categories allows you to map to specific general ledger accounts for specific pay categories if you need to, and they override the actual default account. So if you want to, you can actually default a bonus account to a specific expense account if you want to set up a bonus expense account. It just depends on how large you want your chart of accounts to be and how specific your client needs it to be. And again, same as deduction categories, you can see you can set up a liability account and an expense account. Under expenses account, you can see that we have expense reimbursement account and leave provisions. This is where you set up the default accounts. And of course, you click Save after each one. Now, Carol has reviewed the chart of accounts and she's quite happy with the settings and what has been set up. And next she moves to set up the payroll opening balances.